Good day again, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. I hope you learned something from the previous sessions that we had for assistant supervisors, and assistant managers. Today, we will try to help the senior managers through e-coaching. E-coaching because even before the pandemic, we have already started the online training for our employees. Um, this is because I learned from my masteral class so that employees can do their work, do their trainings anytime and anywhere. So to start with, let's present the slides for today. Okay, this is our Leadership to Go module. We started with, as I mentioned earlier, Rise Up, Live Up, and then Shape Up. For today, we'll tackle e-coaching. This is actually the fourth installment of the Leadership to Go module. So what are the objectives today? At the end of this coaching session, participants will be able to first discover what matters to them, see the key role coaching plays in business, distinguish among different roles, coach, consultant, counselor, and manager, values the mindset of a coach, and see the relationship between performance and mindset. So bear in mind that my e-coaching class is for about 3 to 4 months. Why 3 to 4 months? Because this is an asynchronous type of learning. Um, it's what you call today blended learning. Unfortunately, we cannot do face-to-face. So this will be an asynchronous training for all of you. Of course, as a coach, you shouldn't stop from learning. Okay, according to Marshall Goldsmith's book, sabi niya, what got you here won't get you there. Because as a coach, you still have to evolve. You still have to learn a lot of things, especially with the new generations right now. Also because for different positions, there are different requirements. So when you just graduated, there are certain qualifications that you have to meet. And then when you get promoted to a supervisor, again, another qualification. And then now that you're a senior supervisor or a senior manager, there's another, there are other qualifications that you have to learn, like vision. What is the picture, your picture of the future? Your decisiveness, ability to handle crisis, honesty, and integrity. Also, because of the changing workforce demographics, especially in terms of the age or generation. If you'll notice, we have about 4 generations right now working in our organization. Uh, the baby boomers, they are a bit few. They are actually retiring or have retired already. And then the Generation X, those born 1965 to 1980, comprising about 6%, which is also some of your managers right now. But the bulk comes from the millennials or the Gen Y. So at 93%. So I think most organizations uh, have the same demographics in terms of generations. So you are going to teach, you are going to coach those millennials and those that are on board, Gen Z employees. They have started coming into the workforce and will soon uh, be a lot because they will graduate and they will eventually work. So checking the generations that are working in an organizations, you have to know and deal with this kind of workers, especially the Gen Y and the Gen Z. I was fortunate because when I took up my master's in education, most of my classmates are Gen Y and Gen Z. So I was able to observe them and check what are their habits, their lifestyles, and their vision about their future. So that is why I was able to incorporate some of the things I learned from school in our organization. So let's start by defining coaching. Coaching is assisting another person work out the best way to achieve his or her goals, build skill sets or expertise, and produce the result the organization needs. So there are three components here. One is to assist. Second is to build skill sets or expertise. And third is to be able to produce results. So that is the main purpose of why we coach. There are a lot of coaches nowadays. You have life coaches, business coaches, sports coach, sometimes financial coach. So there are a lot of definitions actually. But these three objectives are the most common that we have to do as a coach. Another definition is coming from Sir John Whitmore. Ang sabi niya, coaching is unlocking a person's potential to maximize their performance. So here, the focus is more on the coachee, that they should be able to be the best version of themselves. So coaching is a conversation where coach and coachee inquire together. It is enabling the coachee to discover the answer and take action. Again, the coach shouldn't be the one to provide the answer. It's the coachee who should discover the answer and take action for it. Coaching is a catalyzing relationship that accelerates the process of great performance. Okay? I had a lot of coaches in my career. Most of them are my store managers before. I remember my first store manager, Mr. Fijan Bless. He was the one who taught me about providing ownership. The second manager was the by the book type of manager. So I also learned from that person because every time I approach her, she asked me, what are your options? What's your plan? A, B, C, D. Okay. The third one is the carrot and stick approach. He's the type of manager who knows how to reward and also knows how to use the stick. My fourth manager is actually a motherly type. So I also learned about how do you care as a mother to your staff. The fifth one is a very assertive manager. So I have to adjust my actions and my strategies when it comes to her style. Why? Because she's the one who tries to test you and she's the one who tries to motivate you in a different way. What do I mean by in a different way? Like she will challenge you so that you will be able to give out your best performance. So in a way, coaches are there to help us improve ourselves. Coaching is a powerful interpersonal process that stimulates and equips a person to perform at a higher level while accelerating their development. So you're maximizing their development. It's a process that has the sole purpose of unleashing the potential of the individual being coached. So That's a good word, huh? Unleashing the potential. So once you're able to unleash their potential, your work is actually easier. Why? Because that person becomes self-directed already. Okay? It works because it is focused on the individual rather than on the organization and its processes. So we call them talent, sometimes coachee. So talent refers to the individual who is receiving coaching. So talent or coachee. As you become a good coach, a great coach, a master coach, you will make an indelible mark on your work, careers, and lives of those you coach. Uh, when I first started in our company, I was a supervisor, and I handled a lot of rank and files. And one of those rank and files is a cashier who is now an executive. So imagine uh, 20 years ago when they were still a cashier and now an executive. So I guess that is a proof that you gave an indelible mark to them, meaning they were able to improve themselves to become better than you because they became an executive as well. Okay, so it's always important that you leave an indelible mark in their lives, and they will always be grateful to you. Okay, a master coach is a catalyst for sustained personal change in individuals that in turn will intangibly impact the organizations in which they work and communities in which they live. I was assigned in Cebu for 1 year, in Iloilo for another year. So in Cebu, when we went there, I was the head of the team, and my sole purpose was to train and coach those that will be left behind. Because I'm from Manila, and definitely I will not be the one to stay there. So the local managers in Cebu uh, have a task or has a task to coach also their people. So I was thankful because at the end of after a year, they were able to stand alone. So that is, I think, one of the indelible marks of a good coach, that they can stand alone on their own. Imagine if you weren't able to coach them properly, so they will always call you even during your day offs, or even if you're watching a movie, they will call you and ask for certain things. So again, leave an indelible mark in their lives and in their work. When I left Cebu, they were already crying. Uh, it's good because they were not clapping because I was going out, but it's good also that they appreciate the fact that you were able to teach them well. A master coach is a catalyst for sustained personal change in individuals that in turn will tangibly impact the organizations in which they work and communities in which they live. Coaching is a long-term journey aimed at a long-term improvement. So again, you have to be reminded that this is not a short-term success story. So sometimes it takes time. That's why my coaching session is 3 to 4 months. The essence is to enable someone to work through challenge, find a solution, and act on it. Again, you may not be an expert on certain things, but once you are able to coach somebody, you ask the right questions, and they are able to um, relate it with their current work or current objectives. Coaching is both an event and a journey. A coaching event is where coaching comes and asks for help. Journey is helping the same individual grow and progress over time. So it's both an event and a journey. It's nice that if they are willing to be coached, because it's always important that it is voluntary, because you cannot force a person to be coach. It will not work. It has to come from them, the coachee or the talent. The 5 O's of coaching event. Una, you have to set the objectives. When you coach somebody, you have to give them an overview. Ano ba yung gagawin nila? What does it entail? Okay, like for example, in my e-coaching, they will submit about 20 to 25 assignments to me, and that requires commitment. And then what are the options? You have to provide them options. They can send it right away, or they can send it after a week. And then you have to provide them some background of the obstacles. For example, even if they are working, they have to submit their assignments. And then what are the outcomes? I normally grade their assignments, and it creates a good result. Why? Because they are happy, and they are expecting to check what their grades are. So the focus of coaching is really the coachee or the talent. It's not about the coach. It's about the talent. It's about development, not corrective. The coach's responsibility is not to correct, but to develop them so that they can produce results in the future. And then enabling the coachee to solve the problems. The coach will not solve their problems. It's going to be them. And then seeding to develop, or the practice of introducing something in the hope that they can increase their development. So it's always important that there's a learning full experience. I call it learning full. Why? Because when you have a coachee-coach relationship, both parties can learn from that. That's why I call it a learning full experience. It's not one way only that the coachee will be the one to just learn. The coach also learns from the coachee or talent. Okay. So what coaching is not? So it's important that we distinguish what a coach is and what a coach is not. So it's not directing, controlling, or manipulating others according to the coach's agenda. Okay? It's not about the coach having all the answers and solving problems for others. The coach will not provide you the answers that can solve your problems. Being judgmental or punitive, I'm not here as a coach to judge you or to give a punitive action. Coaching without mutual understanding and agreement. That's why whenever I start the coaching session, there's a contract that you have to sign. Why? Because we need commitment whenever there's a coaching event, coaching journey. Okay? What a coach is and what a coach is not. A coach is not a friend. Okay? Hindi kaibigan. Your job is to hold the talent accountable, challenging them to grow and do more than they think they can do. The coaching relationship is unilateral. It is exclusively focused on the talent and his or her goals. So your focus as a coach is sa kanila. Okay? Because before, when you were a supervisor, you are the one receiving the coaching relationship. No? Now, as a manager, kayo ang magbibigay ng you will be the one to ask questions from the coachee or the talent. The coach is not a consultant. Consultants tend to come in to provide analysis or recommendations on how to fix a gap, solve a problem, or seize an opportunity. So hindi trabaho ng coach ang maging consultant. No? Your focus is on potentials, not problems. Okay? A consultant adds value by investigating, assessing, and then applying their expertise to the situation to come up with a plan and help the leader move forward with that plan. So you, as a coach, you are not the one who will investigate or assess or implement. Okay? The coach believes that the solution sits with the talent. So ang makakasolve lang nun is the talent. A coach is not a therapist. Counseling or therapy usually involves digging deep, revisiting past events to help someone heal a psychological wound. In doing so, find relief from its negative effects on the present. Okay? So you will not sit down on a couch or a chair or a bed and then you will ask questions. Ganun ang ginagawa ng therapist, but it's not the job of the coach. Counseling looks backward, but a coach looks forward. Okay? Coaching looks primarily towards the future, seeking clarity of purpose and aspirations that will give life and work greater meaning. Okay? Maganda yung paragraph na yan. Ha? Coaching looks primarily towards the future, seeking clarity of purpose and aspirations that will give life and work greater meaning. So, if you ask me, being a coach, you are not only involved with a person's work-related issues. There are a lot of things that you have to consider. Their personal life, their spiritual life, their physical life. So as a coach, it does not only involve work. Okay? A coach is not a mentor. Mentoring typically takes place between someone with greater experience and knowledge in a field and someone who is newer to that field. Parang mentor-mentee. So if I'm an expert in refrigeration, tuturuan ko is a student of a refrigeration company. So ganun yung mentor-mentee relationship. Coaching does not require the coach have greater experience or knowledge than the talent. If you'll notice, hindi naman lahat ng basketball coach was a basketball player. Okay? The mentor draws on the past life experiences, wisdom, and lessons learned to guide a typically younger or less experienced colleague. Okay? The coach opens the door to an inquiry, a discovery and learning processes that unfolds in the moment. So while the coach and the coachee are discussing things, sometimes the coach asks questions that the coachee understands and analyzes so that that person can come up with solutions. A coach is not a teacher. A classical teacher-student relationship is one-directional. Connection in which the teacher imparts information to the student who learns. A coaching relationship is a learning partnership in which the coach does not teach but rather learns with the talent. So sabay, it's a two-way street. So just a basic difference between teaching and coaching. So when you're a teacher, you're directive, you're instructing. Okay? While as a coach, you are more of a supportive approach. So you encourage independence and you serve as a resource person to them. And what is the role of the coach? This is one of the things that I have to explain very well because sometimes as a coach, you are just focused on work. No. As a coach, your focus is to develop the whole person, their ability to think, ability to feel, ability to enjoy, ability to succeed in business, and awareness and control of surroundings. Dami, no? Yun pala ang trabaho ng isang coach. So, gusto niyo pa bang maging coach? Okay, imagine you have to develop their ability to think, improving their good judgment, reducing reaction time to events, giving them new ways of thinking, and then increasing their capacity to learn quickly. So that is probably one of the most difficult job of a coach. How do you do that? How do you develop their ability to think? Second is their ability to feel. So pati pala emotions. Improving their ability to distinguish between a feeling and an emotional reaction. Increasing their ability to give and receive love. Expanding their ability to relate and connect with others. Imagine pati love kasama. Okay? Ability to enjoy, providing expanded perspective. Increasing the capacity for inner peace and helping them become more aware of self, others, and in life in general. So sometimes as a coach, I teach resiliency. I teach well-being. Sometimes I ask them to exercise so that they can enjoy life, having a healthier life. Ability to succeed in business, of course, if you're in an organization, as a coach, as a business coach, you have to add value to their customers faster than their competitors, increasing their ability to enjoy work, assisting with the balance of life and work. So every time I ask my coaches or coaches and talents about what do they do outside of work, so they should have some hobbies that they can release their pressures in life so that they can also function with with a balance in of nature. Okay, and then lastly, awareness and control of surroundings. So pati pala surroundings, increasing the awareness of surroundings and the ability to control them, improve their available resources and network, upgrading home and office environments, improving health and wellness. So pati pala health and wellness. Uh, from time to time, after the meeting, I talk to the talents or the coaches and tell them to check the way how they eat, if they exercise, if they um, have certain habits or hobbies that they can focus on. Okay, so for me, the basic role of a coach is you ask questions, you listen, and keep focus on the contract or what is the objective. And then this is just an example of what I do whenever I coach a person. First is that you have to make them a highly capable individual. And then you elevate them to become a contributing team manager, team member, and then a competent manager, an effective leader, and then hopefully they can become an executive like the cashier I told you. Her name is Rose de Guzman. She was my cashier at the time when I first started as a supervisor. And now she is already an executive. And then aspire for a coachable moment. Those moments when an individual is open in taking in new information that will affect a shift in his or her knowledge and behavior. The coach creates an environment where such moments happen. So sa iba, I would remember it's like an aha moment. Yung parang may bulb sa taas, tas iilaw. So that for me is a coachable moment. Uh, since I'm also into photography, for me, it's nice to take a picture of a person. Why? Because if you are able to show their emotions at that time and freeze it, for me that is like a coachable moment. Yung nakikita mo sa picture na malungkot siya or masaya siya or worried siya, for me, you are able to get that coachable moment. And that is the same in coaching. when you are able to ask questions and then suddenly the coachee was able to grasp it and was able to smile and take action because of that question. So aspire for a coachable moment to all your coaches and talents, because that is something that you cannot provide money or resources, but you were able to provide support to them. And that would be forever. They would always see it as pag naalala nila yon, ikaw yung naalala nila. Okay? What are the current life conditions that bring people into coaching? Bakit ba nagpapa-coach yung iba? And why are you supposed to coach them? So here are some of the conditions why. One, dealing with change. Maybe they got promoted or they got transferred or they resigned and went to another company. Handling uncertainty. They are in a situation wherein they don't know what is the future. Making better decisions, set better goals, reach goals faster, get ahead professionally. So meaning, not because you only have problems that you can be coach. If you want to get ahead professionally, then you can be coach. I remember when I was promoted to an executive vice president, and before I became a president, a consultant was hired, and then later on became my coach. Sir Manny, Sir Pong Ejercito was the one who coached me before I became a president. So at that time, he just retired from Unilever, and he helped me in terms of global thinking. What is the global standard? So it helped me a lot in terms of benchmarking our company versus the other global companies. And then another condition is improve relationships, have a collaborative partner. You know, sometimes it's good that you have a coach because you can learn from one another. Me being a coach, I can also learn from my coachee. Be a better leader, reduce stress because you are able to impart your concerns to another person, and that in a way can reduce stress and keep up with the speed of life. Well, sa sobrang bilis ng panahon ngayon, you have to keep up with the speed of life. And coaching is one of the best strategies that an organization can provide to their employees. Coaching others is a people builder. It builds your team. It builds your people. As I said in my earlier sessions, I used to blame HR training for the recruitment if they did not give me the right person. Okay. And then I realized you have to build your own team. Okay. You cannot wait for the people to have the same culture, have the same core values, philosophies, and principles. You will be the one to inculcate it to them. Sees long-term development as direct reports job. Knows the aspirations of people, holds career discussions, or provides them coaching or setting of directions for their careers may cause people to take their development seriously. Provides challenging and stretching tasks and assignments. Holds frequent development discussions. Is aware of each person's career goals. So since I coach in one session about 15 to 20 coaches, they can freely go to my office or text me or call me if they have concerns. Okay. Constructs compelling development plans and executes them. Enables people to develop to accept developmental moves, will take on those who need assistance and further development. So sometimes the answer to their problems is actually at the tip of their tongue or at the tip of their nose. So it's a matter of just asking them the right questions to trigger the answer. But you need to have certain skill sets as a coach. So transformational listening. So sabi nga nila, in a conversation, discussion, listening is very important. And then the language. Of course, there should be a result. And then how do you do the messaging? Is it verbal, non-verbal? And how do you acknowledge those messages? So as a coach, you have to also orient your coachee about all these things. Okay? So there are 3C model of coaching. Una, conversation. There has to be a conversation between the coach and the coachee. That's why I mentioned earlier that it has to be voluntary because that person should be able to converse with you his or her predicament. And then of course, the character. Kailangan you know the character of the person. And lastly, there's a connection. It's hard if the coachee rarely has a connection with you. You have to set certain schedules that you can talk. It may be short, but meaningful. Okay? So kailangan there's a character. It's about you. Who you are as a human being and the qualities you possess that convince others to trust you. Kailangan ng connection is your relationship with the talent as a coach. And then conversation is the dialogue you have together. So kailangan meron kayong time to talk, whether it's online or face-to-face. Kailangan may dialogue kayo. Okay? So it means you have to give time. Then there are levels of coachability. Bakit? Because not every person can be coached. So there's a level 1, not coachable at present. Meaning, maybe in a certain period of time, hindi siya pwede. Number 2, selective coachability. Anong ibig sabihin ng selective coachability? Pag may pinagawa ka, pwede. Pag may pinagawa kang iba, parang so-so. And then standard coachability. And then partnership level of coachability. Ito yung parang partner mo na siya. You don't have to ask him anymore. Nagbo-volunteer na siya. So an example of a selective coachability is willing to take action in areas where they are comfortable in. So kung saan lang siya comfortable, then doon lang siya sasali or will participate. Resist moving into new territory, meaning ayaw niyang umalis sa comfort zone niya. Has the tendency to whine, blame, and complain. So you will encounter people like that. Payslip service. So meaning, sa salita lang, but doesn't submit their assignments. Does not initiate coaching calls as agreed. So if you set a certain time and he doesn't call, then it's going to be a problem. Standard coachability, coachee states his or her interest and openness to the coaching program. He or she can see the result, the current reality, and can distinguish where she wants to go. Coachee also recognizes the gap and takes the action to close the gap. So ito yung supposed to be the normal coach and coachee relationship. Partnership level of coachability, ito yung what I mentioned that that person volunteers himself or herself. You don't have to ask him or her. Nagkukusa na siya. But what is the objective of a coaching session? So bakit ba may coaching session? Address immediate challenges for the coachee. So minsan may problema siya that you have to talk to that person and ask some questions. Review progress. Kamusta na siya? Another thing that I do is I ask them, kamusta na yung ibang co-coachee nila? So sometimes I have about 15 or 20 coaches. So I ask them about a certain coachee, coachee 3, coachee 4, coachee 5, and then review what went well and what went less well since you last met them. So parang review of what happened the last time. Importante yun that there's a review because that would enable the coachee to refresh ano ba yung napag-usapan before. Ngayon, since we're finished with coaching, these are the most common problems of coaches. How do you coach rookie managers? Ito yung mga bago. Okay? So, you delegate, getting support from the above, projecting confidence, focusing on the big picture, and giving constructive feedback. So according to Carl Walker, that's how you coach your rookie managers. So in terms of delegating, syempre, there's a reluctance to delegate. Bakit? Because there's a fear of losing stature. So parang ayaw pa ng mga coaches to delegate kasi mawawalan siya ng trabaho. Okay? Fear of abdicating control. O nga naman, how can he be promoted if the person he's coaching is already capable? Overburdening staff, ayaw niyang mahirapan yung staff niya. So you have to let them understand their new role. The coach, a rookie manager, has a new role already. Okay? And then you have to discuss with them tactics and strategies. Getting support from the above, partnership and not servitude. This is a partnership. Okay? Hindi sila slave. Rookie manager relationship with boss. Careful, stay under the boss radar. Siyempre, nangyayari yan na medyo nag-iingat yung mga rookie managers. Bakit? Kasi baka mapansin agad sila kung mali yung ginawa nila. Then you have to clarify expectations. So as a rookie manager, you have to clarify expectations from your boss. And then have regular meetings. Okay, projecting confidence. So lack of confidence will not inspire or energize teams. So dapat as a rookie manager, you have to have confidence. Kailangan yung honest feedback, just-in-time coaching. So pag nakita mo yung rookie manager, and then you have to coach them right away. Your staff member don't necessarily have to like you, but they have to trust you. Trust is a very important aspect in leadership and in coaching. Then, focusing on the big picture. Rookie manager instinctively runs to the immediate rescue. So, syempre, pag nakita nila na may problema, para silang knight in a shining armor. No? Sometimes, you shouldn't do that. You have to look at the big picture. Strategic thinking is a necessarily skill for career advancement. So, importante yan as a leader, as a good coach, that you are able to impart it to your rookie managers. 10% strategic, 90% tactical for rookies. Okay? And then you have to give constructive feedback. You can't ask people to change their personalities, but you can ask them to change their behavior. According to Ed Batista. Then cultivate the relationship and manage emotions. And you have to play fair to your rookie managers. Set the stage in terms of timing, duration, location, and proximity. Rookie managers, the good thing about them is that they are eager. They are willing to learn. So especially with the millennials and Gen Z, they like feedback, instant feedback. So before we end the session, I would like to show you a video about togetherness. Okay? So I just turn off the presentation and go to the video. So what did you think about the video? Inspiring? So it's we, not me. So it tells about when we were born, um, we didn't have any factions, any idea of factions. There's no black, there's no white, there's no black or white, there's no differences in age. There's no maputi or maitim. But when we started to grow old or to develop ourselves, when we went to school, there are sections, section 1, section 2, section 3, and then there's religion, iba-ibang religion. So in coaching, we also need to develop that ability to not to discriminate when someone is in need of help. So we also need to help them regardless of age, regardless of social, economic conditions, and also how to, whether they're rich or poor. Okay, so we also need to consider all those things. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay. So what insights did you pick up from this film? How can you apply these insights back at work? Being a coach, how can you apply it? What would be the effect of applying this back in the workplace? One of the things that I mentioned there is that not plus but not division. Okay, plus but not division. So in the workplace, especially if you're a manager or a coach, you deal with several people, and it's important that you create an atmosphere that they can work together and everything is applied fairly and squarely. Okay. So what are my references? The Master Coach by Greg Thompson. This is a good book. Maybe you can borrow this or buy one of this book. How to Lead by Joe Owens and Harvard Business Review's Leader's Handbook. My working principles, my actually my motto and my mantra. It was my conceptual framework in my thesis. I actually saw this in one of the books, Ikigai, but I shortened it. I created a simple diagram to be able to learn. The purpose of a person is to learn, lead, and serve. If you learn something and you are able to know your strengths, then passion comes in, and the result would be a growth. Okay? And then when you are able to lead a person or an organization, that actually is your mission. And then it becomes an inspiration for others. And because you have learned and you have led, so you are now able to serve others, which brings happiness in your life, which is for me the purpose of life, is to serve others. So since this is a 3 months to 4 month session, your first assignment actually is to write your own story. It can be your personal and work life. Session 2 would be, how do you find your passion? I'm going to give you 20 questions so that you can answer and reflect on what your passion is. Session 3 is about your life's purpose. I will show you the article I wrote, my life's purpose, and please reflect on that. And then number 4 is willing to be disturbed, something I learned from my master class. Number 5 is critiquing. You will be asked to critique the assignment of your peer, of your colleague. And then 6, how do you create a meaningful feedback using the RICE model? 7 would be leadership styles and theories. 8 would be effective leadership. 9, changing roles of leadership. 10, leadership culture and organizational change. 11, leadership renewal. Number 12 is Who Moved My Cheese? You will again watch the video about Who Moved My Cheese. Number 13 is you will read the book, Our Iceberg is Melting. And then 14 is Heart of Change. 15 is 5 stages of decline. You need this because to be able to understand why companies go bankrupt. Number 16, that's not how we do it here. You will read another book. And then 17, The Ceramic Cup. It's about customer service. So hopefully, in 3 to 4 months, you'll be able to complete your assignment. And then if you passed all those assignments and you will be graded, you will be part of our graduating class. My graduation is different because it's not the normal certificate and giving you a pat at the back. It's normally a group session. For example, we're going to have a team building session. For the past 2 years, I asked all the graduates to join me in bowling. So sometimes I do group activities, sports activities. So with that, thank you very much. And I hope that you can complete your requirements so that it can help you, guide you being a new coach.